Now today I have a serious question to ask from this verse. Have we created an impact in our surroundings? Though we all aspire to take charge and lead from the front and make an impact in the society or our surroundings, we all fail to do so because of some lame excuse that we develop in our little heads. So what if we put an end to all this overthinking and throw it out of the window and just come out and perform and create an impact? Create a positive impact. Now this verse is about one such person who created an impact which was immensely positive, which changed the entire complexion of the war and the battlefield as a whole. And I'm also going to give you an analogy of what happens when a normal person like you and me takes situation into our own hands and control the situation, and how we can change the complexion of our surroundings. Hi, my name is Varun and welcome to episode 10 in Decoding the Bhagavad Gita. In this episode, we are decoding verses 14 to 20. So without any further ado, let's proceed to the verses. Now for all you religious lovers, I have an interesting news. This is the verse where the Lord actually graces the battlefield with His presence. Now from the Kaurava side, when Bhima actually blows the conch and he signals the start of the war, from their side it should have been the leader of the Pandava army, it should have been the commander-chief, or it should have been Arjuna. But it was neither of these three men that actually blowed the conch. It was, after all, a chariot driver. Now, majority of us Hindus who have been reading this book ever since we were little, we'd be saying, yeah, the chariot driver is the Lord, He's the Supreme. But no, let's just come back and just dig from the basics here. Now, a chariot driver blows a conch. So what did the Kauravas think, or how did they react to that situation? They were actually as surprised as how anybody else would be. Why would an ordinary chariot driver signal the commencement of the war from their end? Now by blowing the conch, what does the Lord try to say? What does He trying to communicate? With the blowing of the conch, as subtle as that was, what He was trying to communicate was something heavy. He was trying to say that this entire war is under my control. I am the official overview of this entire war. And there are many people who are fighting in the war for little things. The Pandavas are fighting for the rightful share of the kingdom. The soldiers are supporting the Pandavas because they think with the Pandavas in rule it would be better for them. Kauravas are fighting for various reasons of pride, greed, and for one man's ego, an entire army is supporting him. And then there is the Supreme that views all these little emotions and He controls this entire war. Now He takes charge. Now just because He is the Lord and He takes charge, that doesn't mean that we common people cannot take charge in our day-to-day lives. There is one man who created as big an impact as ever. And for that particular analogy, I have to first tell you how do I say this? A story of past and present. Now around 60 to 80 years back, there was a nation that was not so popular as it is now. They were actually a third world country. The economy was very bad. It was going down to the dumps, and all the people living in the country, when they opened their front door, they didn't see grass in the front. Rather, they saw the opposite house as kitchen. The things were so bad for every particular individual in that country. And then there was one man that came around and turned Singapore on a whole into what it is today. Some of you may know him through the name Lee Kuan Yew. His candidate as the leader was from 1960s to 1990. That is one whole generation. 30 years is a long time, but it is not a long time to create such a path-breaking change which would lead Singapore into the success that they have today. Now Lee Kuan Yew when he actually came to power, the first thing that he said, by looking at the people who were actually in the country, there were people who did not have food to eat. The sick did not have a proper healthcare facility. The youth did not have educational facility. And the breadwinners of the family did not have a means to earn money and support their family. So when a leader came around and said that I'm going to give you work, I'm going to give your children education, I'm going to provide home for the homeless, and I'm going to take care of the sick with hospital facilities, and above all, he said, when your children grow up, I'll make sure that there is infrastructure in this country for them to actually come out of universities and actually apply for a job. So Lee Kuan Yew decided to bring about this path-breaking change, this revolutionary change that actually led Singapore into the 21st century. Now here he took control of the entire situation. He, from the base, every single act of Singapore, right from something very, very basic all the way to something which is the mother of important things, he took control, he took charge. He had his eyes, ears, nose on every single thing that happened in Singapore, and he changed it all around. He turned it all around, and that is what Singapore is now. Now, majority of you might be thinking that how in the blue world can you compare Lord Krishna and a mere mortal man who is actually the Prime Minister of a country? How can you even do that? Now here for them, I would like to say a very simple answer is that I'm not comparing the Lord with anybody. Rather, I'm comparing the institutional change that they made in their respective communities. Now the Lord did a lot of things which actually supported the righteous cause, not the Pandavas. Now generally when we say that things worked, all the stars were aligned for them. In the Pandavas came, each and every one of those stars was Lord Krishna. To the flip side of that coin, for the Singapore nation, all the stars that were aligned was their Prime Minister, their leader, their savior, Lee Kuan Yew. Both of them made an impactful change in their respective fields. And it is not to compare a mortal or an immortal, but the situation in which they caused a change. So have we made an impact? Not as big as what Lee Kuan Yew made, but something very small that has contributed to our society in some little way. That is what this verse is trying to make us think. So now always remember, guys, it will lead the way, and all you have to do is free your mind. Now, as I mentioned in my earlier video, whoever wants to read the literal translation of the verse, they can check the description box below where I've given the proper translation of the verse. And this is a wrap for episode number 10. And until the next episode, it is goodbye.